Welcome to Eagle Discovery. Today we're going to dive into some of the terrifying experiences foreign visitors encounter when they first come to Vietnam. Despite Vietnam's well-known natural beauty and rich culture, there are certain aspects that can be quite frightening for tourists. Let's explore them now. 1. Traffic challenges in Vietnam. Traffic in Vietnam is always a unique experience for foreign visitors. In fact, even for us Vietnamese, the traffic can sometimes be confusing and stressful. The traffic here can be compared to a goldfish bowl, chaotic yet fascinating when viewed from above. Common questions foreign visitors ask when they first arrive in Vietnam include, "Why doesn't anyone yield the way for us?" And, "We're in the priority lane, so why are they honking so much?" These questions reflect their surprise and confusion about the traffic culture here. The first fear that most tourists face is the daily traffic jams. These jams can be caused by street vendors occupying the road, parked vehicles, and various other reasons. Unlike in Singapore, Japan, or Taiwan, where traffic remains orderly even during jams, in Vietnam, rush hour is filled with the sound of honking horns, creating a chaotic scene. Honking in Vietnam can have multiple meanings. Sometimes it's to warn and ensure safety, but it can also be out of frustration. Drivers might honk because they're in a hurry or angry at the reckless behavior of some road users. In some places, there are pedestrian lanes but no traffic lights, so motorbikes and cars just speed through without noticing the crosswalk. Vietnamese traffic can be intimidating, but it's also an integral part of life and culture here. Understanding and adapting to it is a challenge that every tourist needs to overcome when visiting Vietnam. 2. Walking is also a challenge. For many foreign visitors, crossing the street in Vietnam can feel like a life-threatening adventure. It's not just about walking across the road. It's a tense, adrenaline-filled journey. In this adventure, they might feel like the main character in an action movie, constantly on guard to avoid becoming the victim of a traffic accident at any moment. However, for those who have lived in Vietnam for a long time, crossing the street becomes much easier. They've become accustomed to how traffic works and know how to protect themselves. Some even joke that to cross the street safely in Vietnam, you need to attend a special training course. One of the key skills is to wave your hand vigorously to catch the attention of drivers, ensuring that they see you and slow down so you can cross safely. Over time, crossing the street in Vietnam can become a skill that every tourist needs to learn and adapt to. Though it may be difficult at first, with a bit of patience and practice, you'll become more confident and safer when navigating the traffic here. Advice for foreign visitors. If you're a foreign tourist in Vietnam, crossing the street might not be easy. Some people joke that to be safe when crossing in Vietnam, you need special training. One essential skill is to wave your hand vigorously to attract the attention of drivers. However, beyond just waving, you need to carefully observe and enthusiastically signal for a way to avoid collisions with the local traffic. Many foreign tourists compare the traffic in Vietnam to sesame seeds squeezed between peanuts. The roads are too narrow, and the traffic participants rarely stop at the painted lines. Not to mention that on many streets in the Old Quarter, red lights seem to have no effect. When small streets intersect, vehicles just drive through without the presence of traffic police. The awareness of some Vietnamese road users also leaves many tourists feeling disheartened. The already narrow roads become more congested during rush hour, so it becomes normal for people to ride their motorbikes on the sidewalks. This makes it frightening for even us locals to navigate the traffic, let alone foreign tourists. To ensure safety, tourists need to always be cautious, pay attention, and follow the traffic rules, even if it requires patience and skill. Traffic in Vietnam can be challenging, but if you know how to handle it, you'll navigate it safely and with more confidence. 3. Vietnamese Ninjas. Another challenging experience that tourists might encounter in Vietnam is meeting the so-called Vietnamese Ninjas. This humorous nickname is given to motorbike riders who wear full sun protection gear, leaving only their eyes visible. These ninjas stand out not only because of their unique attire, but also due to their unexpected actions while driving. You might see a ninja signaling left but turning right, or suddenly stopping in the middle of the road to answer a phone call. These actions often leave tourists astonished and bewildered. For newcomers to Vietnam, dealing with these ninjas requires high concentration and quick reflexes. To stay safe, tourists should always be vigilant and cautious when participating in traffic. Pay close attention and maintain a safe distance from other vehicles, especially the Vietnamese Ninjas. Although it may feel tense at times, with patience and understanding, you'll gradually become accustomed to and more confident in navigating the streets of Vietnam. 4. Overcharging foreign tourists. Foreign tourists visiting Vietnam should be prepared for some unpleasant situations. One unfortunate reality that not only tourists but even locals find frustrating is the issue of overcharging. Foreign visitors often become targets for overcharging, facing exorbitant prices for services like haircuts, shoe shining, taxis, or even buying a few kilograms of fruit from street vendors. A foreign tourist once shared his experience of getting his hair cut in Vietnam for the first time. It only took a few minutes to get a quick trim, but he was charged 200,000 VND, while the price for locals is only around 30,000 VND. Even shoe shiners often work in groups to easily target tourists. When they spot a foreigner, they rush over, point at their shoes, and then glue them without asking. After a few quick actions, they demand several 100,000 dong before leaving. In one case, a tourist was charged up to 500,000 VND just for a shoe shine. When a local vendor saw this, she strongly protested to protect the image of Vietnamese people. She spoke out against the overcharging behavior of the shoe shiners and demanded they stop. Although her actions were commendable, this situation still happens frequently, leaving foreign tourists feeling horrified when they come to Vietnam. The issue of overcharging isn't just limited to Hanoi, but is also common in Saigon. For example, at Ben Thanh Market, foreign tourists are often charged unreasonable prices for goods. In another story, 2 French tourists were quoted 500,000 VND for a ride that was less than 100 meters. When they accidentally left their passports in the taxi, the driver demanded an additional 500,000 VND to return them. Even though there are positive actions from locals like the street vendor, overcharging remains a concerning issue. Foreign tourists visiting Vietnam should be cautious, research prices before using services, and always be ready to negotiate to avoid being overcharged. Overcharging and reactions. Recently, social media users were once again dismayed when they witnessed a foreign tourist being overcharged by a fruit vendor in Hanoi. The story revolved around the vendor selling a kilogram of rosé apples for 200,000 VND, while the actual price is only about 40,000 VND. The video of this incident sparked a major controversy, and if true, it's a classic example of how a few bad actors can tarnish the image of Vietnamese people in the eyes of tourists. Fortunately, there are still many civilized and reputable Vietnamese people who are willing to stand up for the nation's honor. Like the security guard in a previous story, or the elderly woman who firmly demanded the authorities take action when she saw a foreign tourist being overcharged 300,000 VND for 10 fried cakes. Her actions not only restored justice for the tourist, but also demonstrated the kindness and civility of the Vietnamese people. Another commendable story involves a taxi driver. When 2 foreign tourists accidentally handed him 500,000 VND instead of 40,000 VND, he not only returned the correct change, but also patiently explained the denominations of Vietnamese currency to help them avoid being scammed in the future. Acts of kindness like this should be widely promoted to help improve the image of Vietnam in the eyes of international friends. Negative stories like overcharging tourists are an unfortunate reality, but the presence of kind, honest, and civilized locals is gradually helping to rebuild trust and goodwill among visitors to Vietnam. We need more of these positive actions and stories to prove that Vietnam is a friendly and lovely destination. 5. Petty theft. In addition to worries about traffic and overcharging, foreign tourists visiting Vietnam also need to be on guard against theft and pickpocketing. Criminals often take advantage of tourists' trust and language barriers to commit these acts. One notable example involved two female Russian tourists who had their phones snatched right in the heart of Hanoi's Old Quarter. Fortunately, the police quickly intervened and recovered the phones for the two women. However, not everyone is so lucky. Another female tourist, who dreamed of cycling across Vietnam, experienced heartbreak when her bicycle was stolen one morning after breakfast at a cafe. After discovering her bike was gone, she was very upset and cried a lot. In the end, she decided to post an appeal for help on social media. Previously, she had also lost her phone while visiting Nha Trang, but losing her bicycle, her companion on the trip, truly devastated her. These experiences not only result in the loss of belongings, but also impact the tourists' psychology, leaving them with negative impressions of their trip. Hopefully, these incidents will decrease, and tourists will have safer and more enjoyable experiences when visiting Vietnam. Positive actions and community support can help improve the situation, restoring trust and goodwill for tourists exploring this beautiful country. Food fears. Vietnamese food is our pride, and most tourists agree that the cuisine here is among the best in Asia. Indeed, even those who aren't particularly food enthusiasts, like Annie D., an editor at Yahoo News, end up falling in love with it. Annie admits she's not a food lover, but the thing that impressed her most during her trip to Vietnam was the food. For Annie, there were so many delicious dishes that she almost spent the entire day just eating, from major cities to rural areas. Before the trip, her boyfriend had advised her to drink plenty of Vietnamese coffee because it's one of the best specialties. Annie followed his advice and was truly captivated by the unique flavor of Vietnamese coffee. However, not every dining experience is perfect. Some tourists might encounter small challenges when trying unfamiliar or unappealing dishes. Sometimes not being accustomed to certain spices or cooking methods can make them uncomfortable. But for the most part, these experiences only add to the excitement of their culinary adventure in Vietnam. Although there may be some challenges, the richness and diversity of Vietnamese cuisine remain a memorable highlight for every tourist. Hopefully, more people will have the chance to experience and fall in love with our country's incredible food. Unique local dishes that might make you hesitate. Vietnamese cuisine truly is a food lover's paradise, with countless must-try dishes. Dishes like fried spring rolls and grilled pork with vermicelli have won the hearts of many tourists. However, alongside these familiar and appealing dishes, there are some unique specialties that leave foreign visitors hesitant and even scared. Here are a few Vietnamese specialties that not all tourists dare to try. 1. Etiquette, a traditional dish made from animal blood mixed with various spices and organs. For Vietnamese people, etiquette is a delicacy, but for many foreigners, eating raw blood is a significant challenge. 2. Trung Vịt Lon. Balut is a popular and nutritious dish in Vietnam, but the sight of a developing duck embryo in the egg can make many tourists shudder. 3. Mam Tom. Shrimp paste is a crucial condiment in many Vietnamese dishes, but its strong smell makes some tourists turn away. 4. Sao Dua. These fat coconut worms are deep-fried and are a popular snack in southern Vietnam, but their appearance can be daunting for those who have never tried them. 5. Duong Dua. Similar to coconut worms, duong dua is a specialty that not everyone dares to try. These live grubs are eaten with spicy fish sauce, creating an unforgettable flavor. 6. Sao Rieng. And we can't forget the king of fruits, durian. Even famous individuals like Japanese girls, known for their composure, struggle to hide their discomfort when trying durian. Despite their attempts to smile, the strong smell and distinct taste of this fruit are hard for them to adjust to immediately. These are just a few of the scary specialties that many tourists hesitate to face. These dishes, while daunting to many visitors, are part of the rich and diverse culinary culture of Vietnam. For those brave enough to challenge their taste buds, it will be an unforgettable and memorable culinary experience. However, tourists can always opt for more familiar and accessible dishes to savor the essence of Vietnamese cuisine. 6. Dining culture and etiquette. When it comes to dining culture and etiquette, foreign visitors may face a few memorable challenges when they come to Vietnam. One of these is using chopsticks, the traditional eating utensils of the Vietnamese people. For many tourists, mastering the use of chopsticks like a Vietnamese person is a significant challenge. It's not uncommon to see tourists struggling with a pair of chopsticks. Some try their best, but still find it difficult to pick up food. Though they may get by with some difficulty, using chopsticks clearly requires patience and practice. Visitors who stay longer will gradually become accustomed to and even proficient at this skill, as it becomes part of the Vietnamese culture. Encroachments on sidewalks. Another issue that frustrates many foreign visitors in Vietnam is the encroachment of sidewalks by street vendors and sidewalk businesses. Vendors often set up their stalls on the sidewalks, occupying pedestrian areas to attract customers. Most foreign visitors who witness this scene feel surprised and sometimes annoyed. Walking becomes more challenging when the sidewalks are encroached upon, making it difficult to stroll and explore the city. This not only affects the urban landscape but also causes inconvenience for both residents and tourists. Nonetheless, these experiences help tourists better understand local life and culture, providing unforgettable and interesting memories in their journey to explore Vietnam. Hopefully, this situation will gradually improve to offer a better experience for everyone. Squatting. Streets in developed countries are usually clean, orderly, and free from encroachments like in Vietnam. A typical example is the streets of Hanoi's Old Quarter, where businesses set up their stalls on the sidewalks, leaving almost no space. This sight often leaves foreign tourists shaking their heads in disbelief. The encroachment of sidewalks not only spoils the urban landscape, but also endangers pedestrians. Although the government has issued many decisions and taken strict measures to address this situation, it seems that the problem persists. People are too used to the scene of the police leading the way, and vendors following behind. Squatting is a typical habit of Vietnamese people. For foreigners, this posture is not only surprising, but also a significant challenge. Squatting, also known as squat in Western terms, is one of the most effective exercises, especially beneficial for the glutes. According to some sources, only 13.5% of North Americans can perform this movement, with 9% being of Asian descent. Although this figure hasn't been verified by reputable experts, through observation and social media sharing, it's clear that Westerners often struggle with this squatting posture. Many can't squat for more than 5 seconds without falling backward, feeling pain or experiencing discomfort. Those who can manage see it as a yoga pose, and some are even determined to practice squatting just to master this posture once in their lifetime. This squatting style is not only part of the culture, but also demonstrates the flexibility and agility of the Vietnamese people. These challenges and experiences help foreign tourists better understand local life and culture, creating unforgettable memories during their journey to explore Vietnam. Hopefully, the encroachment on sidewalks will be improved, providing a better experience for everyone. And perhaps that's why foreign tourists visiting Vietnam can't resist trying this unique squatting style. However, most find it difficult to achieve. If you want to challenge yourself, you can go to the market and observe how the vendors squat while selling their goods. Or, join outdoor activity groups. Surely your squatting skills will improve significantly. Another tip is to ask your Vietnamese spouse to show you the correct and most comfortable way to squat. Instead of fearing it, see it as an interesting thing to try and experience when visiting Vietnam. Dear friends, through these examples, it's clear that while there are many unfortunate stories about traffic, overcharging, and theft, these don't represent the whole image of Vietnam. Many Vietnamese people are still striving to build a positive image of the country in the eyes of international friends. Negative experiences may happen, but the important thing is that we, as Vietnamese, need to try to create good impressions from the start. By doing small but meaningful things, we can gradually change how tourists view our country. If you found this video interesting, please support us by liking, sharing the video, and subscribing to our channel. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.